fun, cutesy, fun summer covers, sobbing. Nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. If you couldn't tell, I'm clearly not in my regular filming setup. And also, if you didn't know, I am in Prince Edward Island right now, which I feel like you do know because I have in fact made it my entire personality, literally on every single platform that I exist on. But if you didn't know, now you know. And actually, this is my last week, my last couple days here, and it feels like an absolute disservice to not spend the time that I'm on a beach because Miss Girl lives in downtown Toronto. I am not a live by a beach girly. This is like an absolute treat for me every single summer. It feels like a disservice to not read beach reads on the beach. Match made in heaven. There is truly no way that I could have been here and not done that. So I asked you guys for your top 5-star absolute favorite 5-star reads, and part 1, you guys absolutely delivered. I feel like I got so many good answers, so many I was expecting and so many I'd either never heard of or was not expecting at all. So after going through that list a little bit, I'm gonna pick the ones that are A, they stick out to me and I actually want to read them because duh, I feel like that makes sense. I don't really want to be reading books that I don't feel like reading when I'm on vacation. And B, that were repeated the most. I feel like there were a couple in there that were said like at least 5 or 6 times. So that's the plan for today's video. I have like a couple days left here. I literally don't even know what the date is right now, but I'm leaving like around the 25th, 26th, 27th, somewhere in that range. I will be driving my butt back because then I'm going away again. It's a chaotic summer, but all good things. So in my last couple days here, I think it'll be fun to do some beach reads by the beach. I can literally see the ocean, Willa Bay to the ocean, out of the window right now, and it feels like an absolute disservice to do anything other than romantic beach reads. I mean, they might not be romantic. I just asked for 5-star beach reads. I haven't completely gone through the answers yet, so I haven't totally decided, but it is time to go through them, and it is time to go to the bookstore because we are going to be starting a book today. And on that note, let's get into some beach reads. If you've ever wondered literally for one singular second who my biggest fan in the world is, it is and will forever be my own mother. I swear every single day I walk out and I see some form of her device, whether it's an iPad, an iPhone, anything, playing my videos, just like on loop for fun. Know it's going to be a good book when the first page looks like this, when there's annotations from the very first word. This is going to be so good. You know that TikTok sound that's like, I left you alone for 5 minutes and you spent $876, and it's like, yeah, but you left me alone in a bookstore. That is me. It is me. I am the said problem. So I did go in for 2, but we'll do a book haul. I have not read a single Elle Kennedy book in my entire life. However, I am in fact collecting the Off-Campus series. I now have all 5, and I've been buying up the blue sprayed edges every single time I see one because I don't want to start reading it until I'm sure I have all of them. So now I have all the Off-Campus series, and now I did see in the bookstore that there is another series after the Off-Campus series that also has the blue, so I guess I'm not done collecting. I haven't read a single Elle Kennedy book, but I feel like they're a rite of passage, so I will get to this. A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. She's re-releasing the Gold Rush series like 1 book at a time, and so is Lauren Asher, and the second that I see them on the shelves, I grab them. So I have Off to the Races, I think is the first one, and then this is the second one, and the spines match up. I can't miss an opportunity for matching spines. And then now, the reason that we came here, The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter and Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. I don't know how I've possibly never read an Ellen Hildebrand book. I think my mom and aunt have both read all of them. Now that I'm thinking about it, we might have this at the cottage. Probably not. I want my own copy either way. I have somehow not read an Ellen Hildebrand book. I don't know how. It hasn't crossed my radar yet. I know that she is like the queen of summer reads, so I'm excited to see what all the hype is about. I think I'm gonna really like it. My mom loves them and we have very similar tastes and are similar people. We're the same human. So I can't imagine that I'm not gonna like it. And the Hotel Nantucket was by far the one that was suggested the most. And a very close second was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. Literally no idea what it's about, but I recognized the cover and that was enough for me. Books have been acquired, many more than I needed. Into summer romance. Well, I'm 90 pages in. Does that constitute being 100 pages in? Can you round up when it's 10%? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm almost 100 pages in to Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, and I fear I want to tell you kind of nothing. I feel kind of like this, how I feel about Ashley Poston, where I didn't read the back. I fear I still don't want to read the back, because sometimes I find when you read the back, that thing that's on the back doesn't happen for like 100 pages and it kind of spoils it. And I feel like there's one thing that just happened that I feel like would be on the back and it would have been a spoiler if I'm over explaining. What else is new? The vibes of this are immaculate. I feel like I am in this beach town. The way that she is writing this small beach town, I feel like I can picture it. I feel like I can feel the wind in this beach. That is how crystal clear of an image I have of upstate New York, I want to say. Does that even make sense geographically? I'm not from the US. I don't totally know. Somewhere in between New York and Connecticut. Does that make sense? That's where this book is based. I don't have a sense of geography, but it's somewhere there in the summer, and the vibes, they are immaculate, okay? It's reading like how I imagine people who live in the Hamptons view where they live. I'm totally here for it. Her writing, so good. The first like 60 pages, the writing from the gate, so good, so amazing. I had no idea what it was about. Like I had no idea where the story was gonna go. I still find myself annotating things, but I just felt like we were jumping around time a lot. There was a lot of establishing. I think it will matter in the end. But in the beginning, I was kind of like, so what's going on? I'm not totally engaged with anything yet, but I feel like it's gonna be important moving forward. We're following our main character, Ali, whose mom has recently passed away, well, 2 years ago now. And then a year after her mom passed, her husband asked for a divorce. So now she's living in the town that she grew up in. She always like wanted to be this businesswoman, but then she got pregnant. She ended up having the kids, was overwhelmed, moved back to her hometown to be close to her mother, and then quit her job. And now she's divorced. She has 3 kids and she's just trying to like kind of get back on her feet. The thing that she cares the most about is being a good mom and like being there. Her job is as an organizer, and she feels like her life is the messiest thing in the world, and that's what needs organizing. And she has truly only focused on her kids since the divorce, and she tries to keep up the traditions that she did with her mom, with her kids. It's so sentimental so far and really beautifully written, and she's just like trying to get herself back out there, trying to get the first out of the way. So she's gone on her first date, but he is someone that she should know. That's not a spoiler. And if you read the back, it would have spoiled it. So don't read the back. The writing is so beautiful. It's reading like a beach read, but I fear from the reviews that I've seen of this, it may or may not absolutely rip my heart out and be marketed as a beach read that like rips your heart out, like Emily Henry, you know? Fun, cutesy, fun summer covers, sobbing. That's where I see this could go. I love that our main character is like a little bit older. She has a family. This is her second go at romance. It's not like the young naivete of like a lot of romance novels. It's just like fun to read something different every once in a while. And the writing in this, I can see myself getting very attached to. And it's like not very long. I want to say it's like under 400 pages. It's 315 pages, which I feel like is the opportune length for a romance novel. We'll see where it goes, and we'll see if this cover is an absolute lie. And if it's not fun and fluffy and summery, it's rip your heart out fun, fluffy, and summery. Those are 2 different things. any quotes yet, which feels kind of like a crime. So I'm gonna read one that's been sticking with me, one that I'm thinking about after like flipping. I myself am a ball of unfocused longing. When I'm quiet, I can hear my heart yearning for impossible things. I want a perfectly pared down home, and I want to hang on to every scrap of the past. I want to break from my kids without missing a single minute of their lives. I long for a partnership, and I long for freedom, and I long to be enmeshed with someone without losing myself. I want all of it. Maybe that's the essence of a summer romance. It's the impossible thing, a love affair with no reality checks. And I fear that quote summed up what we're getting more than my 3-minute synopsis could have. You know when you're reading a really random part in a book, like you read a random line and it makes you go like, oh my god, do I care about you as a character? I hadn't even clocked that yet. And then you have that moment where you're like, oh my god, this book is gonna make me cry. I keep having those moments. There's a quote on the back of the book that says, anything Annabelle writes, I'm reading it, and I fear that will be my sentiment by the time I finish this book. I agree with Carly Fortune on that one. Says, I'm thinking about how your day is going to go, or at minimum, I want you to also have this thing that I'm going to enjoy, and I am weirdly moved by this. Like, she is at once romanticizing the teeny tiniest, smallest things in life, but also like just expressing gratitude for the small things in life that make life worth living for. That is how her writing feels. I fear that said nothing. I said nothing. I feel like you know what I mean. She writes mundane things in a way that doesn't necessarily feel romanticized, but feels how you feel on a good day. Like when you're having good positive thoughts in your head and you're having a really good day. How she writes about existing on this planet and like this entire situation is how you think when you're having a good day. Not necessarily romanticized, just like happy state of being, fact of the matter. I feel like for what this is, it was perfect. I don't know what I was expecting going into this, but there was something so different and unique about this story, the way it was written, everything about it that felt really different to me. Like, I feel like I've really never read anything that felt exactly like this, which may be like a very niche feeling. It reads like a summer romance. But there are so many little nuanced things in this book that I feel like were done so well. I settled on giving it a 4.5. I truly wouldn't change like a moment of it. Like, I think what it did and how it did it was perfect. Like, this is truly, could not change a word. Could not. I loved everything about it. I definitely didn't get 5-star feelings. I feel like I love to be like really immersed and like really fucking care about my characters, which is like really hard to do in 300 pages. It couldn't have been better. It just didn't give me 5-star feelings. That's the best way I can explain it. It's so good. Like, it's a 5-star in practice. It just was a 4.5 for me. The way that she writes is really reminiscent for me of like Jessa Hastings or Ashley Poston, but very different. Like, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying nothing. I could say nothing and accomplish the same things. What I mean is there's so much about this book that it demands to be annotated. So many things in this book that are really beautifully written. And that is like my favorite thing in a book. But some people really can't get behind that. Some people are like, you're explaining things for far too long. Like, this could have been 200 pages shorter. And I get that. She did it, but 200 pages shorter. She had these beautiful, nuanced, singular statements. Everything she wrote had purpose. Every word needed to be there. But she explained so many things and repeated them so many times that it just became part of the verbiage of the book that was so beautiful, heart-wrenching, and really effective. We weren't dragging on about descriptions of things or about analogies of things. Like, she says multiple times in this book that when she's feeling light and like there's lots of good things going on, she feels carbonated, and then when she's not feeling good, she feels flat. When she needs to say that in the book, it's like one sentence, but you're clued in on this inside joke that it's a part of the book, that it hits every single time. This felt really adult in like such a good way. The way that she fiercely loves her children in this, and that is her driving force, and the fact that we got like kind of an all-encompassing look at her life. Like, we had the relationships with her children, the relationships with her ex, her self-growth, which happened somehow totally paced, but in 300 pages. I don't know how she did it. I loved this story so much. I feel like so many authors, to make you really care about their characters, have to have so much periphery going on. Like, they have to have so many peripheral characters explaining the personalities of their characters more. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like it's really hard to accomplish really well pared down, really easy to describe characteristics of characters. I feel like a character that you can, like, if you were a real person, like, you're acting how I expect you to act. Like, you're acting in a way that goes with your character in only 300 pages and without a lot of periphery. Like, there were not a lot of people outside of the story other than our like very, very main characters, and they had such defined personalities from the beginning. Like, you caught on to how they were going to be from the beginning without having to have periphery characters and periphery experiences that defined them. Like, her writing, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I don't know if that made total sense. You get such good pared down exact versions of these characters in your mind without having external sources tell you how you should think about them. It was so good. She also dealt with so many really interesting topics, like being a mother, dealing with grief, like really actively, but they were also kind of removed. Do you know how like a book makes you cry because you feel for a character? Like, you're a real person in my head. I didn't necessarily have that with this necessarily. I feel like it was kind of like an abstract. It wasn't the fact that we lost this person. It's just dealing with grief in general. Like, it's sad to be dealing with grief in general. It's not necessarily like it's just sad in this situation. It's like sad overarchingly, and this is how it affects your life, and like this is how it overarchingly feels to have lost yourself and to try and find yourself. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense. I really, really liked it. It was so much better than I was expecting. I feel like I was expecting like a very typical read at the beach kind of book, but it hit me kind of like Beach Read by Emily Henry did, where like, yeah, no, that's not just a read on the beach book. That is a sob in my bed at 3 in the morning book. That's kind of where it got me. I feel like I don't know if I'm making a ton of sense on this. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I feel like it was very unique. I hope I pared them down. That being said, I think it's time. We are going to pick up my first official Ellen Hildebrand book. Don't ask me how I haven't read one of these. I feel like the process in my brain is I saw these on my kitchen counter and on my childhood couch growing up. My mom used to read these all the time, and in my head I was like, okay, don't really want to read them. They can't be that good. Trust me, my mom has really good reading taste. I'm not saying that. I just mean in my brain. In my brain. I never even thought to pick this up. But the amount of you guys who told me I had to pick this up, I trust you wholeheartedly, and I'm excited. Also, the moment that I left the bookstore, like I swear my phone was listening to me, I saw Larry Reed's TikTok saying that she read this book, to be specific, for the first time ever, and she was like, if you've never read one, like, this is your sign. Just read it. They're so good. Which feels like a sign. Like, there's so many signs telling me to read this. So we're gonna try Hotel Nantucket. Zero idea what it's about. I know all of her books are based in Nantucket. Also, if I'm not mistaken, there's usually like a mystery element to her books. Don't quote me. I've heard that somewhere and it's living somewhere in my brain, but we're gonna start it. This is like the worst feel for a book. Like, it doesn't want to open. I don't love that about it. Maybe this will convert me. Maybe I'm just gonna read every single Ellen Hildebrand book for the rest of the summer now. I could see it happening. That is the most information and names that I have ever read in a first chapter in my entire life. Like, am I supposed to remember every single one of those people? I don't. I absolutely don't. Just over 50 pages in now, and I feel like I have whiplash from how different this is than what I was expecting. Like, why was I expecting like a Hallmark movie? Like, that's not at all what we're getting. Not even a little bit. I don't even know what to categorize this as. I feel like we got introduced to 112 people in the first 3 pages, and then seemingly we are jumping point of views so much. We are going through the story rather so quickly, and we are meeting so many characters. We are in so many people and ghost POVs, and for some reason it's seemingly not confusing at all. It is following like a direct straight line that makes complete and utter sense. Like I feel like 50 pages in, I have met and completely understand like 5 or 6 characters like that fast. And it's not even like we get a name at the beginning of the chapter. It's not even like the chapters are on different pages. It's just like gap number 2, gap number 3. Everything about this is unequivocally, it should be hard to understand, but it's not in the slightest. Like I feel like I have a total understanding of this cast of characters. I feel like whenever I'm describing a book to you, I always start by saying we're following so-and-so, or like we're in so-and-so's point of view. I can't do that with this. Okay, our main point of view is Elizabeth, but Lisbeth. I don't know if I'm saying that right or how I'm supposed to be saying it. The fresh gossip in the town is that her and her ex JJ have broken up after 15 years together. They were supposed to be the perfect couple and they ran the deck together. She wants a new start at life, she wants a new go, and the Hotel Nantucket, which is this famous landmark property which has really fallen into disrepair, has been bought to be remodeled by this billionaire from England who has not even seen it. I think I'm gonna call her Liz, because I just feel like I'm saying her name wrong, but it's not her name in the book. Lisbeth ends up getting the job to be the general manager at the Hotel Nantucket, and at the point that we're at now, we're like just right at opening week. The hotel's opening up, and the main goal is they really want to get a 5-key review from some hotel blogger who has never given a 5-key review. So far, this is written so well and so digestibly, which I mean, like obviously she has so many books and is so famous, like I shouldn't be surprised that it's as good as it is so far. We have such a funny cast of characters. Like, why do we have a ghost? Where did a ghost come from? I'm so confused. However, I am so deeply intrigued, and I fear that is all I really understand at this point to be able to convey to you what this is about. This is so out of left field from what I was expecting when I picked this up. Said it, but the way that this is so astronomically out of left field from what I was anticipating it would be is shocking to me. Larry said in her video the grannies are onto something, and I swear they are. There is crack in this book, I swear to you. I feel like I was expecting like a cutesy small town romance where it's like couples on couples on couples, like it's a bunch of interconnected kind of romances where they're all in Nantucket. No, that's not at all. If you have not read an Ellen Hilderbrand book, I think it is time you pick one up. I'm inhaling this. If you love gossip, and you love just like kind of like hearing the tea, this is gonna be for you. I know I already kind of told you what it's about, but it's not doing anything else. And it's doing what I said it was doing, which was just following so many characters through their lives, their friendships, their relationships, their betrayals, everything, gossip core, all the way through. And I feel like it doesn't have like a direct beginning, middle, and end. You're following a timeline and you're in so many different people's point of views and you find out things about them. There's crack in this book. I'm so obsessed with where this is going. I'm almost halfway into it now. I feel like I just can't put it down. Like I'm reading so much faster than I've ever read, but I'm not annotating. That's dramatic. I'm not reading faster than I've ever read. Like this isn't the best book I've ever read in my entire life. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that. I felt like I was a little too excited with how I went about that. But I'm reading it very fast, but I'm not annotating a ton. Like it's not like the writing is stunning. It's not like poetic or beautiful. It's so fun. Like it is such a fun read. Like I feel like this is what they mean when they see beach read. And like, I mean, she's the queen of beach reads. Entertaining to a T. We're getting so many character stories. There's so many things we don't know about them, and you like forget about little things that you want to know about them, and then you get in their POV again and you're like, oh, I forgot I wanted to know that. I'm obsessed with every single one of these characters, and like they're not overtly likable, but they're likable because they're just unironically themselves. I'm eating this up. I'm inhaling this. I think this is the definition of a beach read. I could not ask this to be doing anymore, and my parents just got home and Chance is gonna start screaming. Sorry, I will leave that there. But take this as your sign. If you have not read an Ellen Hilderbrand book, I fear you must. I fear I want to go to a book signing now. I've never been to a book signing, and I fear I want to go to hers. And I have a feeling, I have a real raw feeling that it will wrap up in the end, that it's gonna like be an overarching story. It'll make sense kind of vibe. much more than I was expecting to like it. Officially done, my very first Ellen Hildebrand book, and I think I'm a converted fan. I'm intimidated because there's like, what, 28 of these? Something crazy like that. Even if I read one a month for 2 years, I wouldn't read them all. Like, that is an intimidating backlog. I feel like I've said most of like what I can say about these books. It did wrap up in the end. I did tear up at a moment. I think that's more of a my period started today kind of thing than it is the book was extremely emotional. It was just so incredibly good. It was so fun. It was such an easy read. It was so enjoyable. I found myself really lost in the story, but not in a way where I was like desperately necessarily waiting to see what happened, but just like blindly enjoying myself. I said it before and I will say it again, and I will stand on the fact that this is what I mean and this is what I think of when I think of a beach read. She has them down. Like, I understand why she's the queen of them. The grannies are onto something. I'm gonna settle on giving it, I think for now, a 4. Maybe like a 4.25, but it's a 4.25 that means a 5. For what it is, it's perfect. Like, I wouldn't have changed a moment, a word, a second in this, but it like didn't give me 5-star feeling by any stretch of the imagination. But like, for what it was perfect. Like, I would not have liked it as much if it had tried to be a really emotional 5-star read. For what it is, it's perfect for what it is. It's a 5 out of 5 for a comfort, fun, entertaining, gossipy beach read. It's just not like a 5 out of 5 for a book compared to everything. Does that make sense? I feel like it's a clean, really strong 4, and I loved it. Like, it will live in a very special place in my heart, and I have a feeling all of her books will, and now I really want to read The Perfect Couple before the show comes out, which means it is officially time to start The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. The feeling of this book is fantastic. I have not one singular clue what this is about, but the cover rings a bell. I've seen it before. Hence why when I saw it recommended to me like 94 times, I was like, you know what? This is one we'll pick up. All the books this week have been like a really cute 350 pages, which is like kind of ideal. The ideal beach read length. The weather has really not been beach weather. It's kind of like, it feels like September, to be honest, but the books are giving me very much beach vibes. I'm still very much enjoying myself, and there's nothing better, in my opinion, than going and sitting at the beach just for like a cute little hour when the weather's not amazing, but you're also not going to melt, you know? So I think that's the plan for right now, because I haven't been down to the beach in a couple of days and I can see it from here, and that feels like an absolute sin. Future me popping in here. However, it is in fact present day me for me. It'll still be past me for you. However, it is future me to the rest of this video. Do you get what I'm saying? August ended up being the busiest month of my entire life. This is the first book that I finished in August. Started it, what, July 25th? Finished it August 25th. I read it in airports, on the way to Morocco, on beaches in Tangier, in Ubers and parks in London, and then officially finished it at home. And I was honestly thinking that I would just maybe not even include this because I filmed just the opening portion of it. However, it was a couple of your guys's, a lot of your guys's 5-star beach read, so I decided to include it anyways because I am in fact finished with this. I feel like if I sat down to read it in like one setting, like if I had started that book one day earlier, like 2 days before I left PEI, I would have finished it. It was a quick, very easy read. The text is really big. It gives YA. It 100% does give YA. However, I ended up giving it a 3.5. Okay, hear me out. I did shed a tear a couple of times, and the whole first half of the book I was really enjoying. I really liked everything about the book. I have a hard time with YA romances, and I was comparing this a lot to The Summer I Turned Pretty because if you know me, you know I kind of hate those books. Like, I don't actually, just legitimately nothing happens and they feel so young. This didn't feel quite that young. This felt like a lot more substance, plot, emotion, etc. And I think that probably does have to do with the grief that is in this book, which I feel like was portrayed and handled very well considering it is YA and we're dealing with a YA character dealing with a loss in a very realistic, timely period of their life. Like, it felt like they were dealing with that loss. Me forgetting the name. It felt like Meredith was dealing with the loss of her sister at a point that she was going to be going to college and she's still growing up and her sister's always been with her in a way that felt so realistic. I shed tears. I absolutely 100% did. The first half of this, it felt so much like reading young love as you watched yourself and your friends go through it when you were of the age. Like, I felt like nostalgic for it, not in a dramatic way. Like, I just enjoyed it versus being like, this is so young. However, the latter half of it, I got way more, this is so young. Why are we doing this? This is kind of silly energy. I think this appeals as an adult book in a lot of ways because there was so much plot to the story. There were serious topics dealt with it throughout. There were obviously a lot of silly things, but the fact that we had the plot of her grief. We had the plot of this assassin game that they are playing, which is a game that they played every year, but they're playing in memory of Claire this year, which everybody gets a name, and it's like a water gun assassin game. Chance is gonna be squeaking that toy, and I just don't have the heart to take it away from him right now. You've never seen a kid so happy in your entire life. And then we have the friendships, the family, and the romantic relationship in this. The fact that there was all of that kept me entertained as an adult, even though a lot of those things at times felt young. However, the last half of it, I stopped caring. It started to feel really young. I feel like the setting and everything in this book was portrayed so well. I could feel like I could picture so much of it. I feel like the basis of this, I am not to my core a YA romance lover. It's not my favorite genre ever. I have a hard time connecting to it most of the time. However, if you were to ask me for a YA romance recommendation, this is probably one that I'd say. If you asked me if you should read this, I would still say yes. I still really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it for what it was. It was very easy. The setting was very summer. It just wasn't like my cup of tea necessarily in terms of plot and romance. Now, to let you know a little bit about what this is about. We're basically in the POV and following Meredith Fox, whose sister has recently passed away. In the beginning, we don't know what has happened, but we know that they have not gone to their house in Martha's Vineyard, this like estate that their family all has different little cottages on. The summer setting of this is so perfect. Like I feel like I can picture it all the way through. This is their first year back after Claire has passed away because Meredith's cousin, who was also Claire's best friend, like they were closer in age, is getting married. But on the little ferry over on the way to Martha's Vineyard, Meredith gets in a little incident and ends up bruising a man's face, a guy's face. I mean, he's 19. Where does boy become man? I don't know. He ends up being at the wedding, and there ends up being a little something there, and they do end up bonding over a game of assassin, which I don't know if anybody else went to camp and played assassin at camp, because I definitely did, but everybody gets a name and you have to take people out and then you get their target, that kind of energy. Don't get me wrong, it does scream YA, but it is YA, in my opinion, done well. It is officially time to wrap up this video. I feel like I started it 6 months ago, but that's actually because I did, and I'm glad that I actually did finish this book, because these were the beach reads that were recommended to me the most, and I trust your guys' opinions a lot, and I found a lot of really good, fun reads in this video. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you're gonna be adding any of these to your TBR, because honestly, all of them I think I would stand behind adding to your TBR, a little end of summer moment, and I hope to see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.